What if everything you've been told about motivation is wrong? What if waiting to feel ready is the one thing keeping you stuck? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Success doesn't care about your feelings. And if you don't force yourself to move right now, you'll regret it later. Let's be real. You've had days where you knew exactly what to do, but didn't do it. You waited for inspiration, for the perfect moment, for fear to disappear. But here's what the greatest minds in history knew. Action isn't the result of motivation. It's the cause of it. So today, we're breaking down 10 brutal rules to force yourself to act even when every cell in your body resists. 1. The 2-second rule. Delay a defeat. Your brain is a master of self-sabotage. The second you even think about putting something off, whether it's a workout, a business call, or finally writing that book, you've already given your mind enough time to talk you out of it. And it will. Every single time. Because your brain isn't designed to make you successful. It's designed to keep you safe. Safe means comfortable. Comfortable means stagnant. And stagnation is the slow death of every dream you've ever had. So here's the fix. Move before you think. The moment you recognize a task that needs to be done, whether you want to or not, you have exactly 2 seconds to physically start. Not plan, not prepare, not get in the right headspace. Move. Stand up, open the laptop, grab the dumbbells, dial the number. Your body leads, your mind follows. Because if you wait even 3 seconds, the excuses flood in. I'm tired. I'll do it later. I'm not ready yet. And just like that, another day slips by with nothing to show for it. This isn't about motivation. Motivation is a myth. It's about muscle memory. Train yourself to act immediately, and over time, hesitation disappears. You'll stop needing to feel like it because action becomes automatic. Think of it like jumping into cold water. The longer you stand there staring at it, the harder it gets. But if you leap without giving yourself time to overthink it, the shock fades fast, and suddenly you're swimming. The most successful people in the world don't have some magical discipline gene. They've just learned to outrun their own resistance. They know that doubt is a shadow. It only has power if you stop moving. So they don't stop. They don't negotiate. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They go. And because of that, they build momentum while everyone else is still stuck in their head. Your life changes the day you realize one thing. Thinking is the enemy of doing. The more you analyze, the more you paralyze. So from now on, when you see a task that aligns with your goals, you don't get to debate it. You don't get to weigh pros and cons. You get 2 seconds. That's it. After that, your feet are moving. Your hands are working, and your mind can scream all at once. It's too late. You're already in motion. And motion is where miracles happen. 2. Burn the ships. There's a reason most people never reach their goals. It's not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity. It's because they always leave themselves a back door, a way out, a plan B. And as long as that escape exists, they'll never fully commit. Because deep down they know they don't have to succeed. They can always retreat. History's greatest victories came from leaders who removed that option. When ancient armies landed on enemy shores, the first thing they did was burn their own ships. No going back, no running away. It was win or die. And suddenly, soldiers who might have hesitated fought like demons. Because when failure isn't an option, you find a way. You need that same fire in your life. If you're serious about changing anything, your health, your income, your relationships, you have to cut off retreat. Tell everyone your goal. Invest money you can't afford to lose. Quit the job that's holding you back. Make the stakes so high that not acting hurts more than the effort required. Because right now, your brain knows you're not all in. It knows you can quit when it gets hard. And so it lets you slack off, procrastinate, and settle. But when you torch the ship, everything changes. Suddenly excuses don't matter. Fear doesn't matter. Comfort doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is moving forward. Because backward isn't an option. That's when you discover strength you didn't know you had. That's when you start doing the impossible. Because impossible is just a word people use when they still have a way out. Most of your struggles right now, they're not real. They're imaginary barriers your mind creates because it knows you could still walk away. But when you burn the ships, those struggles vanish. Not because they weren't there, but because you no longer have the luxury of caring about them. You have to push through. You have to figure it out. So ask yourself, what's your ship? What's the safety net you're clinging to that's actually keeping you stuck? And what would happen if you lit a match? The moment you do, you'll realize something terrifying and liberating. You were always capable of so much more. You just needed to remove the option of failure. Because winners don't have backup plans. They have one plan, and they make it work no matter what. 3. The do something principle. You're sitting there staring at the blank page, the untouched gym bag, the unfinished project, and you're waiting. Waiting for what? For some magical surge of energy to hit you. For inspiration to strike like lightning. Here's the truth you need to hear. That's never gonna happen. Motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. And the only way to create it is to move first. Action isn't the result of motivation, it's the cause of it. Think about the last time you didn't feel like doing something, but you forced yourself to start anyway. Maybe it was a workout. Maybe it was a work task. At first, you dragged yourself through it, but 5 minutes in, something shifted. You got into a rhythm. The resistance faded. By the end, you were glad you did it. That's not a coincidence. That's how your brain works. It resists starting, but once you're in motion, it's easier to stay in motion. So the next time you're stuck, and you will be, don't try to convince yourself to do the whole thing. Don't overwhelm yourself with the enormity of the task. Just do something. One push-up, one sentence, one phone call. Open the document and type a single word. The size of the action doesn't matter. The act of starting does. Because once you've taken that first tiny step, the next one gets easier, and the one after that gets easier still. This is how you hack your own psychology. Your brain is wired to avoid pain and seek comfort. Big tasks feel painful because they're uncertain, intimidating, or just plain boring. But a micro action, that's painless. And once you've tricked your brain into beginning, it stops resisting. It shifts into completion mode. Suddenly, you're not forcing yourself anymore, you're flowing. The most successful people in the world don't have some superhuman ability to resist procrastination. They've just learned this one trick. You don't need to feel ready to start. You just need to start to feel ready. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop telling yourself you'll begin when you're in the right headspace. The right headspace comes after you've taken action, not before. The moment you feel resistance, that's your signal, not to retreat, not to overthink, but to do the smallest possible version of the thing you're avoiding. Because momentum doesn't build on its own. You build it one tiny action at a time. 4. Pain versus regret. Let's play out two futures. In the first, you keep doing what you're doing now. Hitting snooze. Putting off the hard tasks. Telling yourself tomorrow. 5 years pass. You're in the same place. Maybe worse. The goals you once cared about are now just ghosts of what could have been. You see others living the life you wanted, and it stings. Not because they're luckier or more talented, but because they did the work while you waited for it to feel easy. Now the second future. This one's harder at first. You get up when you don't want to. You push through resistance daily. Some days suck, but 5 years pass, and you're unrecognizable. Stronger, sharper, miles ahead. The work wasn't fun, but now, you're reaping rewards you once only dreamed of. Here's the question you need to answer today. Which pain do you want? The pain of discipline, or the pain of regret? Because you will feel pain either way. There's no version of life where you avoid it. One pain is temporary, the soreness of growth, the grind of building something. The other pain is permanent, the hollow ache of what if. Right now your brain is trying to convince you to avoid short-term discomfort. It's screaming at you to take the easy path, but deep down you already know the truth. The easy path leads to a hard life. The hard path leads to an easy life. So the next time you're tempted to procrastinate, to half-ass it, to tell yourself I'll start next week, pause, close your eyes, fast forward 5 years. See the you that didn't change. Feel the weight of that regret. Let it sink in. Now ask yourself, is putting this off really worth that? Because time doesn't care about your excuses. It moves forward either way. The only difference is what you'll have to show for it. Choose your pain wisely. 5. The 5-minute trick. There's a lie you've been telling yourself that's keeping you stuck. It's the idea that you need huge blocks of time, perfect focus and boundless energy to make progress. That to do anything meaningful, you have to get in the zone first. But here's what nobody tells you. The zone doesn't exist until you create it. And the way you create it isn't by waiting, it's by starting so small that resistance can't stop you. The 5-minute trick is the ultimate psychological hack against procrastination. It works because it bypasses your brain's natural defense mechanism. When you tell yourself you only have to do something for 5 minutes, your mind doesn't perceive it as a threat. 5 minutes? That's nothing. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes, but here's what happens in those 5 minutes. You break the seal of inertia. Think about Newton's first law. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. This applies to your productivity just as much as it applies to physics. The hardest part of any task is overcoming that initial resistance to starting. Once you're moving, continuing becomes exponentially easier. Those first 5 minutes serve as the push that gets the boulder rolling downhill. This isn't just theory, it's how your brain chemistry actually works. When you begin a task, even reluctantly, your brain starts releasing dopamine. This neurotransmitter isn't just about pleasure, it's about motivation and focus. The more you engage with a task, the more dopamine flows, creating a natural momentum that makes you want to keep going. The beautiful irony, by giving yourself permission to stop after 5 minutes, you actually make it more likely you'll continue. There's no pressure, no looming marathon of work staring you down. You're free to walk away after 5 minutes if you want, but here's what you'll discover. Once those 5 minutes are up, you won't want to stop. You'll be in flow. The hardest part was starting, and you've already conquered that. This principle works for everything: writing, working out, studying, cleaning, creating. The key is to remove all expectations beyond those initial 5 minutes. Don't think about the mountain. Just focus on putting one foot in front of the other for 300 seconds. That's it. The magic happens in the space between "I'll just start" and "I might as well continue." That's where real progress lives. That's where excuses die. 5 minutes at a time might not sound impressive, but string enough of them together and you'll look back to find you've built an empire. Kill the 0 days. Your life is being shaped right now by one simple question. Are you having more 0 days or non-zero days? A 0 day is any day where you make absolutely no progress toward what matters to you. No steps forward, no matter how small, just complete stagnation. Here's the brutal truth. 0 days compound faster than you think. 1 becomes 2. 2 becomes a week. A week becomes a month. Before you know it, you're looking back at a year of empty promises to yourself. The scariest part? You'll rationalize it every step of the way. I was busy, I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right time. Non-zero days work the opposite way. They create momentum through consistency. When you do something, anything, to move forward each day, no matter how small, you're sending a powerful message to your subconscious. This matters. I'm the kind of person who shows up. The size of the action doesn't matter nearly as much as the consistency. Reading one page of that book seems insignificant until you realize that's 365 pages in a year. Writing one paragraph a day becomes a novel in 12 months. One push-up turns into 3 push-ups. These small actions serve another crucial purpose. They keep your goals alive in your mind. When you take action daily, even micro-action, you maintain psychological engagement with your objectives. They stay at the forefront of your consciousness rather than fading into someday fantasies. There's another layer to this: the confidence that comes from knowing you can count on yourself. Every non-zero day is a deposit in your self-trust bank account. Over time, this compounds into unshakable belief in your ability to follow through. You stop seeing yourself as someone who procrastinates and start seeing yourself as someone who gets things done. The key is removing the all-or-nothing mentality. You don't need to move mountains every day. You just need to move. One email, one phone call, one page, one rep. As long as it's not zero, because zeros add up to nothing, but non-zeros, they add up to everything. 7, fear is a compass. You know that feeling in your gut when you think about doing something important. That tightness in your chest, the voice in your head coming up with 100 reasons why you shouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't. Most people run from that feeling. They mistake it for a warning sign. But what if I told you that feeling isn't your enemy, it's your most accurate navigation system? Fear doesn't mean stop. It means this way to growth. Every significant thing you'll ever accomplish in life lies on the other side of that resistance. The career leap you're afraid to take, the difficult conversation you're avoiding, the creative project you're scared to start. That discomfort you're feeling isn't a barrier. It's a beacon. It's showing you exactly where you need to go next. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. If it doesn't scare you at least a little, it's probably not worth doing. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants to keep you safe, small and secure. That's why anything meaningful triggers fear. Because meaningful things by definition take you outside your comfort zone. They involve risk, uncertainty, potential failure. Your primitive mind interprets all of those as threats. But in the modern world, those aren't threats. They're opportunities in disguise. Think about the last time you did something that truly mattered to you. Chances are you felt that fear beforehand. Maybe it was asking someone out, quitting a dead-end job, speaking in public, or launching a business. Now think about how you felt afterward. Even if it didn't go perfectly, you grew from the experience. That's the pattern: fear first, growth after, always. The most successful people aren't fearless. They've just learned to reinterpret that physical response. Instead of "I'm scared, I shouldn't do this," they think "I'm scared, this must be important." They understand that butterflies in your stomach aren't a reason to retreat. They're evidence you're about to fly. This is why so many people stay stuck. They keep waiting for the fear to go away before they act. But the fear never goes away. Not if you're doing things that matter. What changes is your relationship to the fear. You stop seeing it as a stop sign and start seeing it as a green light. There's a simple way to test this principle right now. Make a list of the things you've been putting off. Now notice which ones create that visceral reaction when you think about doing them. Those are your gold mines. Those are the areas where massive growth is waiting. The bigger the fear, the bigger the potential breakthrough. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being strategic with your discomfort. When fear shows up, ask yourself, what's the worst that could realistically happen? Then ask, what's the best that could happen? Finally, what will staying comfortable cost me in the long run? You'll often find that the potential upside dwarfs the downside. The people who change their lives, and sometimes the world, aren't the ones who feel no fear. They're the ones who feel it and move forward anyway. They understand that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the judgment that something else is more important than fear. So starting today, begin thanking your fear instead of fighting it. When it shows up, smile and say, "Ah, there you are. That means we're headed in the right direction." Then take one small step forward, then another. The fear might not disappear, but with each step you'll prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, and that changes everything. Because on the other side of your fear isn't just success. It's the version of you who no longer lets fear call the shots. That person was always there, waiting. All you had to do was walk through the discomfort to meet them. The path to everything you want is lined with everything you've been avoiding. Time to start walking. Every morning you wake up, you're given a finite amount of energy, focus, and willpower. The way you spend these resources determines everything. Most people dribble them away on dozens of mediocre pursuits that don't move the needle. They say yes to things that deserve a no, and maybe to things that deserve a hell yes. This is how dreams slowly suffocate. Here's the radical filter that changes everything. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. This isn't about being reckless or irresponsible. It's about recognizing that every sort of commitment you make is stealing energy from the things that truly matter. That business idea you keep half working on, the fitness routine you half follow, the relationship you're half. These half measures are worse than doing nothing at all. They drain you while giving you just enough false progress to keep you trapped. When something truly matters, when it aligns with who you are and where you're going, you'll know. It will light you up from the inside. Not every day, not every moment, but at its core, it will resonate with something deep within you. These are your hell yes commitments. And for these, there's no room for negotiation, no excuses, no "I'll do it when I feel like it." You show up like your future depends on it. because it does. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack discernment. They spread themselves too thin across too many kind of important things instead of pouring everything into the few absolutely essential things. The hell yes or no rule forces you to make these distinctions clear. Either this matters enough to go all in, or it doesn't belong in your life at all. This creates incredible clarity. When a new opportunity arises, you don't weigh pros and cons endlessly. You ask one simple question: is this a hell yes? If not, the answer is no. This applies to jobs, relationships, projects, habits. The moment you start applying this filter, two things happen simultaneously. You stop wasting time on distractions, and you start making real progress on what matters. The magic happens in the space created by your no. Every time you say no to something that's not a hell yes, you're saying yes to something that is. You're freeing up mental space, energy, and time for the pursuits that could actually change your life. Most people are so busy chasing every opportunity that they never give any single thing the focus required to make it extraordinary. But here's where most get it wrong. A hell yes doesn't mean it's always fun or easy. Your workout might not feel like a hell yes at 5. Writing that book might not feel like a hell yes when you're staring at a blank page. But the outcome, the purpose behind it, that should light you up enough to push through the temporary discomfort. The hell yes is about the deeper why, not the surface level feelings in any given moment. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Not by doing more, but by doing less, better. By cutting away everything that doesn't serve their highest purpose and going all in on what does. The world rewards those who have the courage to focus. So take inventory right now. What in your life is a true hell yes? What's just taking up space? Be ruthless. Your future self will thank you, because years from now, you won't regret the things you said no to. You'll regret the things you half-assed when you should have gone all in. The choice is always yours. A life of scattered maybes or focused hell yeses. One leads to mediocrity, the other to mastery. The path is clear. Walk it. 9. Body over mind. Your mind is a brilliant servant, but a terrible master. It whispers lies dressed up as truths. You're too tired, you're not ready. This won't work, and like a fool, you believe it. You sit there paralyzed, waiting for your thoughts to magically align with action. But here's the secret you've been missing. You don't need to change your mind to change your behavior. You need to change your behavior to change your mind. The body leads, the mind follows. Always. Think about the last time you felt instantly better after forcing yourself to laugh at something stupid, or how standing up straight suddenly made you feel more confident, or how splashing cold water on your face snapped you out of a fog. These aren't coincidences. They're proof that your physiology dictates your psychology, not the other way around. Depression sits in a slumped posture. Anxiety breathes in shallow gasps. Laziness lives in lethargic movements. Change the physical and the mental has no choice but to follow. Most people wait to feel like it before they act. Winners act first and let the feelings catch up. When you don't feel like working out, you put on your shoes anyway. When you don't feel like writing, you open the document anyway. When you don't feel like socializing, you walk into the room anyway. Your mind screams protest in the moment, but within minutes, sometimes seconds, something miraculous happens. The resistance fades. Momentum builds. What felt impossible becomes inevitable. This is how you hack your own operating system. Your brain is wired to conserve energy. It will always take the path of least resistance, unless you physically override it. So stop trying to think your way into action. Start acting your way into better thinking. The ritual is simple. When resistance shows up, move your body first. Stuck in procrastination, stand up abruptly. Feeling sluggish? Do 10 jumping jacks. Nervous before a big moment? Strike a power pose. These aren't gimmicks, they're physiological overrides for your self-sabotaging mind. Your body speaks the language of action, not excuses. When you physically initiate movement, you send an unmistakable message to your psyche. We're doing this now. This principle explains why morning routines matter so much. The first physical actions of your day set the tone for everything that follows. Hit snooze and shuffle to the coffee maker and you've already told your brain it's a low-energy day. Jump out of bed, stretch toward the ceiling, and splash cold water on your face. You've signaled that today demands your best. The most successful people aren't those who never feel tired or unmotivated. They're the ones who've learned to bypass their mental resistance through physical action. They understand that willpower isn't something you have, it's something you do. Motion creates emotion. Action creates motivation. So the next time your mind tries to negotiate you out of showing up, remember, you don't need its permission. Your body holds the real power. Stand up, move forward. The feelings will come. They always do, but only after you've made the first move. Your mind will catch up to where your body has already gone. This isn't positive thinking, it's positive doing, and it changes everything. The funeral test. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. It's 20, 30, maybe 40 years from now. You're not in the room, but everyone who ever mattered to you is. They're standing around a podium, taking turns speaking about your life. What are they saying? What stories are they telling? What legacy did you actually leave behind? This isn't morbid. It's clarifying. Most people drift through life reacting to whatever's in front of them, never pausing to ask the only question that really matters. When it's all said and done, what will have been said and done about me? The funeral test cuts through all the noise. It strips away the petty excuses, the temporary comforts, the endless procrastination. When you view your life from this perspective, suddenly all those someday plans reveal their true cost. That book you never wrote, the business you never started, the relationships you never mended, the adventures you never took, they're not just unfinished items on a to-do list. They're missing chapters in the story of your life. Right now, your future eulogy is being written by your daily choices. Every time you hit snooze instead of working on your craft, that's a sentence. Every time you choose distraction over creation, that's a paragraph. Every year you stay in a situation that drains your soul, that's an entire page. The terrifying truth, most people's eulogies end up being about their potential rather than their achievements. He could have been so much more. She had such big dreams. Wasted potential is the ultimate tragedy because it's the only one you can't blame on anyone else. The world didn't stop you. You stopped yourself. The opportunities were there. You just didn't take them. The talent existed, you just didn't develop it. But here's the good news. It's not too late to rewrite that speech. Every morning you wake up is another chance to add something meaningful to your story. That project you've been putting off, that's a paragraph waiting to be written. That difficult conversation you've been avoiding, that's a character-defining moment. That skill you've been meaning to develop, that's a plot twist that could change everything. The most powerful motivator isn't pleasure. It's pain, specifically the pain of realizing one day that you had everything you needed to create an extraordinary life, but settled for an ordinary one because you kept waiting for the perfect moment that never came. That moment is now. That moment is today. So ask yourself, when they stand up to speak about your life decades from now, what do you want them to say? Then work backward from there. If you want them to talk about your discipline, be disciplined today. If you want them to remember your courage, do something courageous this week. If you want them to marvel at your accomplishments, start accomplishing things now. Your future self is watching your current choices with either pride or disappointment. Which will it be? The answer isn't in your intentions, it's in your actions. Not in what you plan to do, but in what you actually do. The clock is ticking. The pages are turning. The speech is being written. What story will you tell with your life? Execution is everything. Ideas are cheap. The world rewards those who move, not those who wait. So today, pick one rule. Apply it ruthlessly. Repeat until it's muscle memory. And remember, the person you'll be in a year depends entirely on the battles you fight or avoid today.